Paul Bunyan Show. Leaving Maryland and heading into West Virginia. It's been a sweet ride so far. There we are. With our RV trailer hooked up to the truck. Oh, there I guess where Dick is. Yep. Vending machines. It's gonna bring back, let's see, nuts, maybe? There's Becca. There's Dick. Waving again. Hey, Dick.
Yeah, Jane.
What you doing?
I'm resting. At a rest stop.
Yeah.
I think it's West Virginia.
I bet that you were buying nuts, but I was wrong. You got chips.
I should look for nuts, though. That's a good point. Going to the Paul Bunyan Festival.
Yeah. It's pretty gorgeous. We looked over there, kind of see
Yeah, nice scenic.
mountains.
Mhm.
Yeah. Really nice.
That's good.
Yep. We'll see where we stop next.
Yeah,
Maybe at a truck stop.
I suspect so. I don't think we're not getting that great a mileage pulling an RV. So,
Nope.
so I think we're going to need at least one fuel stop.
Say goodbye, Dick.
Goodbye, dear. There she is.
There he is.
There she is. And B-Dub's stepping into the frame. So here we are at the Paul Bunyan Show.
Look at this, guys. I cannot wait to go.
I thought he'd be bigger than that.
You thought Paul Bunyan was bigger
I thought
than
Paul Bunyan would be bigger than
that? No,
that.
it was blue. It was his ox. That's bigger.
Oh, his oxen was bigger. I thought he was giant too.
Yeah, I think he
Yeah.
was supposed
Very
to be
very
giant.
nice display here. Very nice. Very
It
nice.
is nice. Oh, I keep on hearing, keep your daydreams, talk about cheese curds, and they have cheese curds.
Isn't that pretty much like
Cottage cheese?
yeah.
That's what I'm thinking. So I gotta go find out. So when was the oldest part of it?
It's 1754 to 1763, French and Indian War. And then 1768, Tecumseh, born in Ross County. 1775 to 1783, American Revolution. 1803, Ohio became a state.
1812,
War of 1812. All the way up to 2001, 9/11.
9/11. Wow.
1969, man lands on the moon. I mean, look at that, between 1969 and 2001. There's not
Where-
that much distance between the two. This is 1969, and this is 2001.
Wow.
There's not that much distance between the two. I mean, that really puts like your life into perspective.
Yeah, you're just a little piece of that tree's
Yeah.
history.
Yeah, a little bit of his life.
And
I'm
then
like
somebody
halfway
decided to
between
cut
that
it down
1969.
or it fell down.
I'm sure, I think it fell, but I hope.
Yeah, I would kill something that old. It's like killing a god.
I mean, wow.
Who am I looking at? It's like, I don't understand this.
What don't you understand, B-dubs?
Well, why are everybody pointing their phones at me? I don't get it.
You're
It's-
famous, don't you know?
No. He's famous.
Is he famous?
Yeah.
What's he famous for?
I have no clue.
There's Jane looking at Dick, and Dick looking at Jane. It's
Now
a
I'm looking
video
back
off.
at myself. I have to change it.
They both look.
There. There she is.
There he is.
There she is. Sweet stepping into the frame. Where do you see the wolf ridge? This looks a little heavier dutier than the wolf ridge, but this
Alright,
is
so
firewood processing system.
the firewood processing system. So how does this work?
All the logs are fed in up at the top there, right? And they're fed forward. Chainsaw comes down, cuts your saw, cuts your buck, whatever, the log, to firewood length, right? Then the anvil there pushes it through the splitter up the conveyor, goes through that thing up there that gets rid of the chaff, right?
Okay.
It looks like the drum,
Yeah.
right? And then firewood falls out the other side.
Wow.
He's gonna run it.
Oh, it's gonna run it.
Right, so see it running?
Yeah. So I see
So,
that.
so that'll clean the wood,
Yeah.
right? Get all the garbage. You end up with some nice clean wood. See over here? It's
Yeah.
interesting how it goes out that one side.
So the chaff goes.
I thought
one side.
I see. They got a sheet there. Catches it, and ships it. That's good. Makes a lot of sense.
And so this is where it pushes it through over
Yeah.
here. So where's the saw? Where's the chainsaw?
Over here. See that where it says frostbite?
Yeah.
That's it. So come look at the back.
So that's where it feeds it through there.
So your logs will feed down through here. Looks like they're chain driven. So you would drop the stops, feed a log down, drops onto the, looks like a feeder here.
Hey, that's a good idea.
And I think this is typical.
I like that.
in place as it slides back? So when that slides back, it slides underneath the log.
That's right. There you go. That entire log. Cut and split. Did it in like 2-3 minutes.
How do you figure out how to make that a stick?
You can get the conveyor with it.
Need a big hill. Yeah. You get an AccuSet 2 on the LT40 probably.
Yeah, the hand crank though.
lot of bending over there.
Yeah.
narrowest piece doesn't have hardly any, right? We could have guessed that by looking at how the ray fleck was. But you've got very, very parallel grain in this piece, right? So it's still a nice piece. And we've got nice ray fleck down on that end. So we did a pretty good job. One of the reasons you're losing it is we didn't get that log, the pith, quite centered.
Yeah.
So we could have done a little bit better than that, but it's still nice quarter sawn down here, moving into rift up in here. Okay. Like I said, this isn't my favorite technique, but it's common technique that's done. Can we do another board and then flip it? Woo! What do you think?
That's pretty good.
Is that rip sawn? Heck yeah, look at that. That is quarter. Look at that beautiful red. Look at that. Beautiful. Absolutely beautiful.
You throw a 4-2, got a wobbler going. If they tie, they throw again. Got a 4, all right, they throw again. Another solid 4. Trying to hit that bullseye. All right, ladies and gentlemen, he's going to throw first. 1 throw apiece. Adam, come on, what can I say, man? That's a no-doubter right there. That is a no-doubt bullseye. But Adam Lefko, folks, has 1 throw to time. Here we go. Oh, those are just a bit high. Give it up for Mark Boak when he moves on to the next round. Contestants ready. Stand to your timber. 3, 2, 1, go! All right, give him a big round of applause. Contestants ready. Stand to your timber. 3, 2, 1, go!
That was almost all time, man. I mean, you're talking milliseconds there.
Contestants ready. Stand to your timber. 3, 2, 1, go! Whoa, ladies and gentlemen, give it up! Stand to your timber. 3, 2, 1, go! All right, folks, this is just some hard-hitting raw strength right here. You got Mike Sullivan, a solid steel competitor over the years, one of the top lumberjacks in the country, going against one of Ohio's new and youngest and finest, Justin Sprinkle over there. So let him hear you, folks. They're both giving it up. They both got some good hits going. First one to sever it off and win that heat. They're going for their time. Who's it going to be? Mike Sullivan and Justin Sprinkle. Some big hits, Mike Sullivan. Stand to your timber. 3, 2, 1, go. All right, folks, we got 2 big hitters going on here. Ken Freeman from Ohio. Colin just made his turn. Colin's been chopping a long time, and he's a great chopper from Wisconsin.
See that chunk flying out there? Holy mackerel.
March made this swing around. Remember the chop halfway through, they're going to turn on the back side. They sever their log, their climb stops. Mark Bowden's put in some big hits. Rick's playing a little catch up. He's got some good shots going. Who's it going to be, folks? It's a big hit. Oh! Mark Bowden! Big hit for 2, 1, go! You got Chris Savage on one from the great state of New York. Down there in the far end, Grant Foreman from the big state of Ohio. Who's it going to be? Both those got some big chops going on. Whoa! Grant Foreman with a big hit. 2, 1, go! All right, ladies and gentlemen, Zach Rouse right here on the stand number 1 in the blue shirt, the black shirt, Trevor Beaudry. Let him hear you, man. Zach's making his turn. Trevor's making his turn. They're both throwing out some big chips. Both of these fellas are big ESPN competitors right here going at it. Who's it going to be? Look out, I see Wiggles. Oh, Trevor Beaudry. Zach Rouse, a half chop behind him. Whoa.
Morning, Dick.
Morning, Jane. How's it going?
Well, after yesterday's 10-hour ride, relaxing. How about you? Because you did most of the driving. Well, you did all the
I
driving.
was gonna say I did
You
all the driving.
All the driving. Yeah. How are you doing?
Pretty good. So we went to the Paul Bunyan Show in at the Guernsey County Fairgrounds in Ohio.
Which is near Cambridge.
Yeah, near the town of Cambridge. And I guess it's in Guernsey County because that's the name of the fairground. So it was our first trip with our RV. So we thought that would be a fun trip to make. We bought an RV back at the end of June, and all we did was bring it home and kind of stage it, set it up, and learn a little bit about the RV. And quickly found the refrigerator didn't work, so we had to take it back to the dealer to get the refrigerator working, and then we let it set up at in Maryland for about a week, and then we left from Maryland to the Paul Bunyan Show last Thursday, and so we could get there early enough to get a good RV spot. Obviously, we didn't want to show up the day of the event, and it was a good thing too because a lot of people started piling in there that Friday or that Thursday night. So we got there, got ourselves a really nice RV slot. The only thing is they didn't have any kind of waste disposal area,
or
black tank. So
dump.
they had a gray tank dump area,
Yeah.
but not a black tank. At least not that we could find, and I guess we weren't diligent in looking for one either. So
Yeah. We were told, I guess, basically there wasn't one at the campsite, but we did see something marked for gray water only, but we're like, we can take care of that ourselves.
yeah. So anyway, we got some more work to clean up the RV now that we're back home. So the journey, we spent about a good 8 hours on the road the first day. It was supposed to have been a 5-hour trip. It's not 8, probably it was more. It was closer to 7. It was. I know we got caught in some pretty heavy traffic there at the end. You know, in the last. So we lost an hour, probably an hour and a half in traffic. It's a bunch of construction. I don't think we saw any accidents or anything.
No, this is mostly
It's
construction.
all construction. So we got caught up in that, and as did everybody coming from the north going down to the Paul Bunyan Show. And so that was pretty good, and we got in there, set up, and had a good time, walked around, took a look at the fairgrounds, and then kind of called it a day. And then Friday we went around the fairgrounds looking at all the static exhibits. And looking at some demonstrations on things like Wood-Mizer sawmills and different kind of wood processor, firewood processors. That was something I'd never seen, a firewood processor. This land management thing is new to us, right? And so when as we've said in our videos in the past, storms came through, knocked down a whole bunch of, or not a whole bunch, but at least enough trees that taxed our abilities and our current equipment load. So we so we started learning about tractors and things like that, and so then that piqued our interest in learning more about what we do with all these knockdown trees. We don't want to leave them on the ground for fuel for any kind of forest fire, so you want to clean that stuff up. And then so anyway, so we started learning about equipment. That was the first time I'd ever seen a log processor, and we'll show some of that in our video coming up in a few minutes. And so I specifically wanted to go look at the Wolf Ridge processors in action, and we saw the 22-ton their log splitter in action. We thought that seemed a little underpowered, but it may not have been fair because they were splitting the log with a lot of knots in it, and so they had to they had to really max out that machine's capability and shove it a couple of times before they got the thing to go through the wedge. And I can't remember if they're using a 4-way or a 6-way wedge. That might make a difference. I don't know. But anyway, so that wasn't it wasn't really super clean wood that they were splitting, so I gave them a pass on that. But then we saw some of these other processors that there was another one. Was it Bear Creek? I think it was.
Now you and B-Dubs, I think, were looking more at these than maybe I was, but
yeah,
I don't. Well, Black Creek.
Black Creek.
I do remember
Black
seeing
Creek.
the ad saying Black Creek.
Black Creek.
Yeah.
So they had a nice little wood processor it's a really nice one because you just put the log on it, had a chainsaw that cut it to length, and then we'll show that in the video, and that's pretty cool. So if I was looking at buying a wood processor, it'd probably something along those lines, if not that one. So we acquired the property next to us, and on that property there's some of the same down trees that we had on our property. We get to do it again, on this new property we bought right next door to ours. So we got to go in and kind of clean out that forest floor. There might be some saw logs in there that we can get, so that'll be some upcoming videos and stuff like that. Yeah. But overall, the trip and the RV performed well. No issues there whatsoever. And so that was our first trip in our RV, and it was great. Yeah. Driving it, the Ford F-250 that we bought at the same time we bought the RV. I mean, it handled it with no issues whatsoever. It had a sway control system on it, and obviously that made all the difference in the world.
And we really put it to the test because Western Maryland was hilly, mountainous. I shouldn't say hilly, it was mountainous. And we were passing trucks having a hard time getting up those hills. And then, of course, you got the steep grades coming down. And so we really put that rig to the test, and we were always conscious of, any swaying if we felt like there might have been a little something going on back there, but it handled it gracefully, and it was awesome, basically. And I even got used to going across what we call our nice bridge in Maryland. It's named after, I think, a governor or something, Robert something Nice, or Harry Nice.
I think it's Harry.
Yeah. And that's only like, one two-lane bridge. And so this first time I was white knuckling it. Second time wasn't so bad.
Yeah.
And I wasn't driving.
Let's go around. I'm like, no, I'm not going on 95 towards Washington. That's just going to be a long way around. We're going to go across that nice bridge. Yeah. Heck, we see people doing it in RVs all the time. Let's get a grip here and drive this thing across that bridge. Which anybody who drives across that bridge, if you got a bridge phobia, I think it's Harry Nice Bridge.
Something nice, yeah.
If you drive across that thing on 301 in Maryland, you'll know what I'm talking about. That thing takes you really high off the river, and that's the Potomac River it crosses. And so a lot of people are afraid of that. And just a car, we cross it twice every weekend, basically. They come down to this property and do our little weekend warrior thing. And so
we took B-Dubs and Tanantha with us, and it was awesome. So we got to experience the RV also with another couple, and just trying to see how things worked. But I don't think we stepped over each other too often, except for maybe just taking turns to use the restroom. So that wasn't horrible. They did have to learn about sleeping on the trifold that comes out from the RV that were like, easy chairs that you can turn into a bed. So we decided a padding, like a soft pillow top or something, would have helped them. They doubled up the sleeping bags, and then it worked fine for them after that.
Yeah. So we're really pleased with the RV. I mean, for just the two of us, it's plenty. At first we thought, is this thing just like crazy big? And then when we picked it up originally, it was in between two other RV rigs, and we looked at it and we were the shrimp. And we're like, oh, I guess it's not so big after all. It was a big fifth wheel on one side of us and a big Class A on the other, and our little travel trailer was sitting in the middle. And we're like, no, I think we're good. I think that's about as big and maybe as small as we would want to go. So we enjoyed that. Like I said, it all worked out. At some point we'll do a little RV tour, and show what's going on inside. It's got a unique floor plan. It's different. That's what caught our eye. It's sort of got a rear kitchen, what they call mid-living. I think it's ML. It's a 300 ML Outback if you want to look it up. But it's pretty cool. So that was fun. And at the show itself, we had lunch with Paul Bunyan.
We did.
The actor playing Paul Bunyan.
Yes. That was awesome because B-Dubs just had to wear his Ravens shirt.
In Pittsburgh country.
Yes.
I don't know what he was thinking. And on the weekend.
They played.
we were playing.
Yes.
There's a rivalry there.
Right. And not that I pay attention too often, but I did have to go and look and see, and the Ravens did win. And they even went into
Squeaked
overtime.
out a win,
right?
yeah.
So it must have been an exciting game that we did. We were too tired to watch. I don't think we were still driving. I'm not really sure when they played, but anyway, so we did not see it. I just caught the score later today. But yeah, so we met the Paul Bunyan, or one of the Paul Bunyans.
One of the actors anyway.
And that
Big
was
fella.
that was a lot of fun.
And so he was obviously a Pittsburgh fan, and he and B-Dubs had some fun.
Yeah.
Talking about their teams, and he was certain that the Steelers were going to lose, but he must be proud of them because they made the Ravens fight for it apparently, So
that was good.
So,
and we met some really nice people there. I'm telling you, it was just nice being able to talk to any of the exhibitors or the people who were, putting on some of the more educational parts of the program. They asked for a lot of audience participation and asked for questions and were really diligent in answering them. We thought they gave really awesome answers. I just kind of know the names of some of the people just when they were just talking to each other. Like I think it was at the Husqvarna, put on safety tips on how to use a chainsaw, how to climb a tree, how to watch for dangers, and some of the safety items that you can always have at the front of your mind.
More advanced techniques for dangerous trees.
Yes, as the show went on, they had like I think something in the morning and something in the afternoon, but as they went on, they increased in their more dangerous type of techniques.
Yeah, when we last left them, one of the gentlemen was hanging on this really thin branch way up in a tree, and I thought, "There's no way, man!" I'm like, I'm afraid just watching you. It's like, let's leave because I don't want to see this guy fall. But he obviously never did.
So I think that was Tobias. At least at the show, they called each other Tobias and Tony. So you guys were awesome, and we learned a lot. And we will always keep those wonderful tips in
audience,
mind.
Absolutely professional instructors.
And it was great seeing it happen in action. But then Tony was on the ground, part of the ground crew, and then he would explain by taking simple sticks or something that he had planned prior to explain the science behind it, so that you would understand how gravity works, how wood works. You don't always have to bring out your chainsaw to make a cut. Sometimes all you need is your handy dandy handsaw,
which is required if you climb a tree.
Yeah. So thank
learning
you guys.
Some of those rules
was
cool too. Not that I'm going to be climbing trees. We need to leave that professional. I joked with her. I said I'm going to get some climbing gear.
He's telling you that because
I'm going to get some climbing gear because we got a tree over here we need to bring down. I said I can go up there and cut some limbs, and lighten that thing up and drop it down the hill. And she's like, "No, you're not." I'm like, "Come on, it's like, oh, so you want me to risk somebody else's husband's life.
That's certified and gets paid for it.
He's a professional.
And a professional.
Yeah,
So no.
no.
Nah, not your job to do.
Not my job. Sometimes you got to know your limits. But it's not necessarily a limit. I'm just not trained for it. And I obviously am not the greatest of shape to be climbing up a tree. I'd be putting a hurting on some of those lighter branches, which I'm sure, what's his name again?
Tobias?
Tobias, yeah, I'm sure he was a lot lighter than I was. But by the time he put all his gear on, he probably weighed about as much as I do.
All the harnesses and the rigging that they had up there, but
So
it
that
was.
means if you add that gear to me, you know, going up there, yeah, it's going to put a hurting on a tree.
And everything that they carried up with them, because sometimes they were saying, you know, to look cool, you got to bring all your tools.
Yeah, it's first rule, look cool.
Yeah.
Second rule, don't do anything stupid. Third rule, if you're going to do something stupid, look cool doing it. You know, so I'll never forget that. You know, I was an Army instructor for a bunch of years, and so I love to watch people who know what they're doing when they're teaching.
Yeah.
And you know, and you pick up little things like that that just want to stick with you. I'm like, I got to remember that. First rule, look cool. Second rule, don't do anything stupid. Third rule, if you're doing something stupid, look cool doing it. All right. So.
It took me a while, but I finally found the exhibit halls where all the artisans that were not chainsawing their art were at. And I found Leslie Nielsen, and she was wood turning a smaller bowl than this particular one I'm holding right now that I bought from her. I just loved the way it looked. And you could tell that even before she told me, I could tell she was a teacher, because she took the time to answer my questions, to kind of explain what she was doing, and even a little bit about the ambrosia beetle that leaves the holes in some of the wood, and this kind of gives the bowls a little bit more character when you see their trails or their tracks or the evidence that they left behind. And then how she found someone's cracked bowls and put turquoise in them, and then started thinking, how do I find more cracked bowls? And that led her to, I think it was 10 years into wood turning and making all kinds of beautiful, beautiful things. So I just wanted to show everybody what I got at the Paul Bunyan Show. And this is
you got to get at least one souvenir when you come home.
That's right. So this is my my one thing that will always remind me about the Paul Bunyan Show and the wonderful people that we met.
Yeah. It's a great time. It was quite a hike for us. I don't know if we could do that every year, but we'd certainly do it again at some point in the future. You know, like I said, it was 10 hours. So we'd probably like to combine like a Paul Bunyan. Once we retire, we'll probably combine things like a Paul Bunyan Show with some other travels across the country. I recommend if you live anywhere near it and you're into firewood processing, sawmilling, anything like that, definitely check out the Paul Bunyan Show. I mean, they've got industrial equipment, just massive, massive machines that can grind 3 tree trunks at a time into mulch, and then they've got all the way down to small commercial operations, you know, for your firewood processor. So we're hobbyists at this point, weekend warriors. But we do realize, I mean, so we had bought some smaller equipment to work on our property here, and it just never held up. So there is something to be said about buying quality equipment, things that, you know, that were meant to do some of the heavier work around, you know, some property. So things like tractors with grapples make all the difference in the world. Right. Obviously, you don't need a 5 Series tractor or anything like that on our property. Are there times when something like that would be handy? Absolutely, you know. But there's always limits to anything you buy. So our 3 Series tractors worked out for us, and then when we started buying implements, we had some other things that would attach to your riding lawnmowers and stuff. They just don't cut it in an environment like this. And so it was good to see some of that. So I don't know. I mean, it's almost like you're going up to maybe there's a different scale. You got your and I'm sure there is, you know, you got your homeowners in your suburban areas, and you got your rural homeowners and / ranchers, hence, you know, things. So you got your little small homeowner chainsaw, you know, your sort of rancher property owner chainsaw, and then you got your professional chainsaw. So we're in that middle range.
Yeah.
And so there were some equipment, saying all that, there were some equipment out there that would be expensive. So you would take a bit of a hit. So like that wood processor, you know, where if you can lay a log on there and you can feed a log in, cut it and split it, speed, cut, split, feed, cut, split, all in one machine, all without handling the wood. You know, it might be worth paying that, you know, $8,500, $9,000 for, you know, because you know, things like the Wolf Ridge splitters, which were great. You still got to cut the wood. You still got to stack. You know, I mean, you're always going to have to stack the firewood, but you still got to cut it and handle it a lot more. We think something like was it Bear Creek, right?
Yeah, Black Creek.
Black Creek. I keep messing that up. Black Creek, sorry, gentlemen. It's that thing was great, you know, and yeah, it would cost a couple $1,000s more than something like the Wolf Ridge machines, and there were lots of machines out there like the Wolf Ridge machines. There were definitely, and then there were some gigantic log processors for obviously industrial use that, you know, would be way overkill unless we actually got into business of selling it. But we're thinking that, you know, when we start clearing the forest next to us, and I don't mean clear cutting, I mean just getting the stuff off the ground,
Dead stuff.
getting limbing some trees. We probably have to bring down some trees that are probably dying in place. We're gonna end up with some firewood, and so I don't know, maybe next year or something like that. We have to get over the fact that we just spent a bunch of money buying the property next door to us. So
You won't miss it.
it's like, you know, after a year or so, you know, oh, you know, that's water under the bridge, right? Yeah. So anyway, so at some point we'll probably buy something like that, you know. And it was good to see that kind of equipment, to know that it even existed. Like, I had never seen anything like that before.
So you were telling me that every 3 years at the Paul Bunyan Show, they do have wood processor wars.
Yeah, somebody said they call it a sawmill shootout.
Yeah, shootout.
So they cycle it.
It sounds like a war,
And
right?
so yeah, so I didn't know that. I had seen a Paul Bunyan video where they had the sawmill shootout, and I was thinking that, oh, I'm going to see this thing and it's going to be great. And I get there, and that was not set up for that this year. And then some gentleman told me that, you know, they do the sawmill shootouts like every 3rd year or something like that. I wasn't disappointed in the show by any stretch, you know. So, but so maybe I don't think it's next year. I think so. I have to be looking for that.
Yeah.
I'm definitely
So maybe that's when we'd go back when we see. I want to see that.
See a full
That'd be
sawmill
good.
production line, you know, in set up. So that would be kind of cool to see some of those tools as well.
And another thing what we got to see was the lumberjacks compete in different categories, and that was a lot of fun to see what they called the hot saws.
Oh yeah.
And I guess it was the actual chopping, either climbing a tree, a planted tree, and working your way up, and then cutting down.
I would help her if I knew the names of these.
But I don't know the name of
events
them.
too,
Yeah.
Other than the hot saws.
And then
that's
there
easy.
was then there was axe throwing.
Yeah.
And then I think there was, you didn't have to climb the tree this time, but they actually had some wood that was gripped and held sturdy, I guess, by these metal implements on the ground. So then the guys would have to chop on
We'll
one
show
side.
you some of that in the video.
Yeah, chop on the other side, and whoever got to slice theirs off first was the winner. So that was a lot of fun.
We were kind of far back, so if I zoom in, it'll probably be grainy because we're shooting all this with our phones and her Osmo.
Yes, my Osmo.
Osmo Mini, what is that?
One, I think for one of them I used my iPhone on 2-power. One you can do a little bit of a close
You can
up.
do a little zoom
Yeah.
on it with the iPad.
Yeah,
iPhone 10.
Yeah.
But you also had your Osmo, which was kind of
Yes,
cool. She
yes.
carried that around with her.
I did.
You might, if you were there, you might have seen this lady walk around with
a
this
stick.
Osmo on the end of the selfie stick, DJI selfie stick. So it's
Yeah.
which we actually bought for our Osmo gimbal that we try to use with our iPhones, but we never got proficient at it. And when you're trying to shoot an event like that's not the time to try to learn. And unfortunately, we haven't haven't had much time to learn how to use those Osmos to hold things like your cell phones.
Yeah. Then I felt like I was using up twice the batteries. So that was another concern too.
On the Osmo?
Yeah,
it
and
was
my
burning
camera.
through batteries faster. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, but it was great. Like I said, the experience on hauling that RV that many hours, and learning what the truck can do and how much fuel it burns. You know? So we can basically cut your fuel economy in half. And I imagine a lot of that was because of the mountains. You know.
Oh yeah.
Flatland would probably do better, because we live in the flatlands down here in the Tidewater area.
Yes, we're not used to those mountains.
So I think that was a great experience. So overall, we'd been planning this for a while. We thought it was going to be a bust because we didn't know if the RV dealer was going to be able to fix our refrigerator in time. And once I had delivered the RV to him, I wasn't going to take it away from him if he was not going to, deliver the RV in time. But he did in a couple days earlier. And so we were able to haul it over to a RV park, test it all out before we went on our journey. So we'll show you. We got a couple videos in the can. I don't know what order they'll come out in, but
Yeah, but they'll come out. You get to see
yeah.
pieces and parts of it. So we definitely had a great time there.
Been a big summer. Again, so what we got a new truck, we got the new RV, we've acquired some new land. Am I missing anything?
And we went to the Paul Bunyan Show.
And we went to the Paul Bunyan Show. I guess that's a little actually fall, but hey, so we haven't like been pumping out videos every week. So we've skipped a few, and then it just got so hot we couldn't do things like run the chainsaw. It was just unbearably hot. We were supposed to have a building constructed by now, but that fell through. Our builder went out of business on us, and so we have to figure out what to do about that. And then anyway, so things happen in life. So hopefully, maybe that'll be a big thing next year, is to get a building put up, so that we can put our sawmill inside a building. Get that out of the elements and make it a lot easier to operate, so we don't have to cover it and uncover it and all this stuff. So we want to be able to deal with that. We definitely need to get our tractor in a shelter. It's been out in the elements, but they're kind of designed for that. But it still would be helpful to be able to park that under a shelter. It wouldn't fit in our shed.
No.
Only because we put a hard top on it, and then that added a couple inches. Otherwise, we could just drop the rock and drop it in there. And it's not, we don't have hard winters here, so you can use that tractor pretty much year round. So if you're not too worried about tearing up places and making mud pits out of things.
And we did last year. We had quite the mud pit.
It was horrible.
Yeah.
But it's all nice and dried out now and leveled out.
Because we had a drought.
We had a drought. We had 2 years, about 2 years of crazy abnormal water amounts, rain amounts. And then this year was basically a drought.
Yep.
So anyway, so I guess that's about it. Anything else you want to add?
No, I just hope that you enjoy some of the footage that we're sharing with you, and maybe it'll inspire you to go out next year and enjoy just the education. Oh, you went to a special
I did go,
class.
Yeah, I went to a sawmill.
Yeah.
I went to a sawmill class on quarter sawing lumber, right? So that was pretty good. It was I'd seen classes on that before. As a matter of fact, one gentleman, I think his name is John, he actually does the Norwood series on operating a sawmill, and he was there. I recognized his voice. I'm like, I know that voice. He was talking to a lady next to me, and then I recalled, I think I know that face. And so I quickly Googled him or looked him up on YouTube. All I had to do was query for quarter sawing lumber, and he was like the #1 hit. He's had almost 1 million views on that video, and I pulled it up and I'm like, that's that guy.
That was awesome.
So I had a nice little chat with him. I'll put his name up.
Yeah. And then we also happened to kind of see the Morgans out talking with people who were interested in and I forgot what brand it was that
It was the Wolfridge.
Wolfridge
splitters.
Yep. So that was kind of cool, kind of seeing them from afar. But we're like, oh yeah, that's Melissa. That's Morgan.
Mike.
That's Mike.
How do you not know that? Every video. Hi, Mike here.
I'm sorry, Mike. I forgot your first name. But anyway.
I got in line to talk to him, and then I noticed that people had better questions than I did, and so I shied out and left. It's like,
well, you didn't have a Wolfridge question.
Nah, it wasn't even that either. You know, it was just some more or less how you doing.
But the carry-all that you had.
Yeah. Well, yeah. Well,
yeah.
He had a video on how to build this carry-all to help you move like log rounds, from out in the woods back to your split or whatever. And I built it. And not too long after I built it, following his plan, he gets this what they call a big toolbox thing that he attaches on his 3-point hitch on his tractor. And I'm like, well, what do you know? So it was my question was more of a smart aleck question. Hey, Mike, what did you do with your little carry-all now that you have the big toolbox? But which was actually quite cool. I had a nice conversation with the guy with the big toolbox or big tool rack or whatever it's called, which is kind of cool. Nice thing to wheel around in your garage. Maybe one day when I get my garage cleared out and I got a place to wheel it around, that might be a good investment.
They would tell you that would help you to clear out your garage by having invested in that.
So I'm buying it.
Oh no! Me and my big mouth.
You got a bowl. I get the big tool rack.
Dick, say goodbye.
Goodbye, Dick.